Hi there, Colleen Adrian here. Something that I hear from parents sometimes is when they're trying to support their highly sensitive child through tantrums or difficult or intense emotions is, I was holding space for them. I was empathetic. I was, letting them express themselves, and it still didn't stop. It just kept going on. And I really empathize with how hard that is, especially if you're highly sensitive. It can be triggering, it can be jarring, it can be overwhelming. It's really, really hard to hold steady through situations like that. And I also just want to remind you respectfully and with kindness that because I think sometimes we forget in our desperation for it to be over, and I've felt that way myself. I just want to remind you that the purpose in holding space for them um, isn't to make it go away, although listening to them and being present for them will ultimately, eventually, typically be calming for them, and they will typically come back into a regulated state. But the purpose isn't to get rid of the feeling. And while that may sound like a subtle difference, and it may seem like maybe your child doesn't know the difference, often they can actually feel if you have some resistance in your body. And again, I've done this myself. I've experienced this, so I know. So please know that if you've done that, everybody does that sometimes because we're human and we're all sometimes desperate for it to end if we're feeling triggered or overwhelmed ourselves. And at the same time, it can be helpful as a practice to work on continuing to find your own center so that you can hold steady without trying to get rid of that feeling that they're expressing. And again, it's a subtle difference, but it's an important one because they can feel what's going on in your nervous system. It can also be helpful and calming or soothing for them to say something empathetic, such as acknowledging how hard it is for them, or how upset they are, and how much you feel for them, or even just a oh, or a sound, that really shows them that you empathize with how difficult it is. And of course, probably not at its peak, but as it comes closer to an end and it's trailing off a little bit, they might be open to either, if they're older, child or a teen, they might be open to hearing, is there anything I could do to support you? If they're younger, it might be, would you like a snuggle, or would you like to sit on the sofa with me for a little bit under a blanket and listen to a favorite song or something like that, or snuggle with a stuffy or the cat. So with regard to trying to stay calm and not try to get rid of the difficult or intense emotion, I also want to acknowledge that I realize that can be a tall order. It can be difficult if you didn't have that experience from your parent or caregiver when you were growing up. I can really relate to how hard that can be. I can remember times when my son was younger when I just absolutely wanted it to stop because I felt desperate, especially if it was near the end of the day and I was tired. Um, so a couple of last tips before I go. If you slip and lose your patience while your child is having difficult emotions or intense tantrum, or etc., if you slip and lose your patience, please remember that there is no perfect. It's normal to get dysregulated sometimes and to go through conflict. And what you need to do is repair. That cycling of, having peaceful times and then maybe some conflict and then repair, that's a normal cycle in everyday life for all humans. So I'll post the link for how to do repair below. And the second thing that I want to emphasize as I'm closing here is that it is possible to build capacity in your nervous system and to practice being more regulated much like it's possible to practice being more present in your body through some mind and body or mindfulness practices, right? So, and it's also possible to build capacity by using some practices that help to tune into your body sensations and to calm your nervous system. And if you want some more information on that last piece on how to practice calming your nervous system when you're triggered, I do have a free webinar coming up on that topic on May 23rd. If you're listening to this in 2024, when I first recorded it, I will put the link below. If you'd like to join us online, it'll be online. And I will also post a link below for some other free video content on related topics. So once again, thanks for listening.